Áine is with us on the line today. You might explain to listeners, Áine, why you got in touch.
Good afternoon, Andrea. Thank you very much for allowing us to use your show as a platform to make this plea. My situation is my nephew, Cian Cleary, left Dublin yesterday morning at 6:15 a.m. Cian is not able-bodied. He's fully dependent on a wheelchair. And the normal process to get Cian on a flight to go anywhere is he is transported onto the plane. They transfer him onto an apparatus to then do a lift on and lift off to his aircraft seat. At that point, he hands over his wheelchair to the support services at Ryanair to make sure that his wheelchair, it doesn't go into the hold with normal luggage, it goes in with more fragile luggage to arrive and be at his destination when he's lifted off at his arriving airport. Yesterday, my sister and Cian arrived in Lisbon to be told his wheelchair didn't arrive. They were on a Ryanair flight from Dublin to Lisbon. The Ryanair staff in Lisbon had very little interest and made the complaint that it was their colleagues in Dublin, the Ryanair Dublin. They had no phone number to contact their colleagues in Dublin. They could only call their colleagues via email. After 3 hours at Lisbon Airport, my sister eventually got a transport wheelchair, which is a wheelchair not for Cian's needs because he's got a very high injury, from chest level. So it is a wheelchair that would bring someone with poor mobility from A to B. They get him that wheelchair to get him to my accommodation. We spent all day yesterday trying to contact Ryanair. And Andrea, you did a show a few weeks ago about customer service and everyone was talking about chatbots and what have you.
Right.
We spent all day yesterday on chatbots, on the main number. We were on hold for an hour 20 and in the end we just gave up. We got a number from Ryanair Lisbon to tell us, just keep contacts on that, but they said still no word from their colleagues in Dublin. This morning my sister contacted Lost and Found at Dublin because Cian was very upset, as you can imagine. That is his lifeline, his wheelchair.
So
and
it's his whole mobility and accessibility.
Mobility, exactly. And to have a new one, you don't go to a shop and buy a new wheelchair for him. It's 6 months in the making, and he would have nothing. So he spent a terrible day yesterday, upset.
Oh,
and this morning we decided to ring Lost and Found in Dublin, spoke to this lovely lady, Selena, and she said to us, I'm not going to ring anyone. She said, I'm going to get up and contact people here in the airport and see what I can find out for you. She found out after about 2 hours that Cian's wheelchair was sent to Leeds Bradford yesterday, came back to Dublin last night. To this point, nobody has contacted us from Ryanair to give us this story. And we are still trying to contact Ryanair Dublin, still no possibility. I know your colleague also intervened to contact Ryanair.
That's right.
No success.
Now, I should say we have reached out all right on you to Ryanair, and they're looking into this, I think, for us. So as soon as we get anything, or maybe they might do before the end of the show, we'll certainly bring that to you and be in touch. So right now, you're in Lisbon with your sister and with your nephew, Cian. So is Cian
just lying in bed waiting because, he needs his wheelchair, is his lifeline. And also, being in another wheelchair has consequences for his skin and his general well-being. So the sore pressures and skin problems, that happens if you don't have your normal wheelchair.
Yeah.
And that would bring about even worse consequences for him. But, so far with Ryanair, Lisbon, they're not interested because the item never left Dublin to come to Lisbon.
They never got it. Lisbon never got the wheelchair by the sounds of what you're saying.
No. And, I contacted the Ryanair website, saw the email from Michael O'Leary. The email on the website is incorrect. It comes back as non-deliverable. So we've tried every avenue possible and Lost and Found in Dublin. At least Selena did her best to get to the end of the situation. But we still don't have the wheelchair and we still have no idea if his wheelchair will arrive this afternoon in the next Dublin-Lisbon flight with Ryanair.
And there is one today, is there, Áine, that
there
you're aware
is,
of?
Yeah.
So you'd have to hope
platform,
that...
Andrea, I'm pleading that to Ryanair Dublin that they take note and put this wheelchair on the flight.
Well, hopefully they'll hear you here today, Áine. And as I said, we've certainly got in touch. And look, in fairness, I should say, anytime we've got onto them before, I would hope and would be confident, that you'll hopefully hear something. But in the meantime, it means that you're there with your sister and with Cian. Tell me, what age is Cian, Áine?
Cian is 34, and he had an accident about 13, 14 years ago when he was 21. And he has a very high injury, so his wheelchair is his lifeline. And this breaks my heart, but I've seen Cian upset twice in my life. The day he was told he would never walk again, and yesterday he was so upset all day yesterday. And that you can't portray to Ryanair, you can't portray that to an answer machine where your service is very important. Just please hold on after an hour and 30 minutes.
But the chatbot is not going to realise the importance of this, So effectively,
this has no monetary value. This is his lifeline.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And yesterday we were just referred to make a claim, and then you're asked the value of the item when you purchase it. We're not dealing with baggage or a diamond ring or a Louis Vuitton bag. We're dealing with a wheelchair, which is for him part of his body.
He's effectively stranded at the minute, Áine.
Yeah, he's absolutely stranded. And, I'm just pleading with Ryanair Dublin to take control of the situation now. Clearly there's been a breakdown of process and procedures, but we need someone to take action, get the wheelchair on the next flight to Lisbon, so at least he has it. And, apologies and whatever can come afterwards. Right now, we need his wheelchair.
And am I right that Cian was going over with his mum, your sister, to you live in Lisbon, is that right?
I live in Lisbon.
Lovely,
I'm post-surgery, and they were coming over to see me. So
right.
normally, Cian tries to live as normal a life as possible in this situation. So he travels a lot to see his sister in the UK and elsewhere. And, experiences like this would put anyone off flying in the future.
But and by the sounds of it, he's if he's flying a lot, he's obviously there hasn't been issues like this before. He knows how the whole
and
system
exactly.
works.
And when the wheelchair goes airside to the aircraft before he's lifted on, they normally give him the cushion of his wheelchair to his mum or whoever's with him, and they got that yesterday. And you always remind them, the wheelchair has to go on. But we know the process and we do everything that's possible to make sure, but you can't stay there and stand until you see them physically put the wheelchair in the hole, because he has to be in his seat before, and there's pressure with Ryanair or any aircraft to take off in time slots, etc.
So you're just, I suppose, in the first instance, you really just want somebody from Ryanair to get in touch with the Dublin branch. Yeah,
to take action. Yeah, we want Ryanair Dublin. It's their responsibility. It's their mistake, and we want them now to rectify it and get the wheelchair on the next flight.
And do you know when the next flight is?
It's today at 1:00, and it lands here around 4 p.m.
So as of right now, at 20 plus 1, you don't know if it's on, if the wheelchair is on that flight or not, on you?
No, we don't.
Right.
No,
Well,
that's
hopefully.
what I mean. There's no communication, pure lack of communication with Ryanair Dublin. And Andrea, there's ways and means. With the app, they could contact the mum or Cian through the app, or through email and say it's on the flight. Then you've got the security; it's coming.
Well, then
or yesterday to know where it was.
Yeah,
reassurance. It's called communication. They're a service provider, and it's called communication. Just communication with your customer.
Well, look, please God on you, you'll get word, in the next few minutes or so. As I said, we've reached out to Ryanair for you. We'll keep on top of it for you as well. Not at all. And look, we hope your Cian's reunited with the wheelchair fairly soon too, But thanks a million, Áine, for getting in touch and sharing your story. That's Áine there in Lisbon, talking about her nephew Cian and his situation with Ryanair. And as I said, if we get that statement or any update from Ryanair, we'll certainly bring that to you. The email is lunchtimelive@newstalk.com.